Now it's time to get a deeper understanding of some of the other project settings. Here in general, you can change the project name and the agent that you're using. You can also change the project visibility here. We touched on domains and hostings before, but let's look over these again. We recently bought this domain through Bolt. However, you don't have to. If you buy it through another service, you can connect it using your DNS settings. We can manage that here and add new DNS records if need be. Bolt also has the ability to enable SEO Boost. Simply click on this button. Bolt Cloud comes with inbuilt analytics. Here we can see the unique visitors over the past month, the page views, bandwidth consumption, the top pages, sources, locations, etc. And we can filter these by day, week, and month. If this isn't detailed enough for you, it's really not hard to prompt the agent to add a third-party analytics service. Now let's look into server functions. Server functions are essentially a piece of code that instead of it being run in the client's browser, they're run on an external server and the results are sent to the browser. One of the main benefits of a server function is that it keeps the code private from your user. Your intellectual property is some complex business logic or a system prompt that you're sending to an LLM. By packaging this in a server function, your users won't be able to see it. They'll just see the final result sent to them or the database. This may seem a little confusing, so let's go through adding a server function together. Here's our prompt. In some circumstances, users may not know what the subscription tool does. When I add a subscription, please trigger a server function to send the name of the software to the Google Gemini LLM. Ask it to explain what the software does and then add this to the database and show it under the subscription name. I will provide you with my Google API key. We're asking it to modify the database and do a server function, a relatively complex task, so let's plan this out first. It's provided some questions to clarify. So Bolt's finished working. Let's have a look what it's set up in server functions. Here we can see it's created one called Generate Software Description. Now, if we want to have a look at this, we can open the code similar to the Supabase migrations, and we can look at the functions. Here's the name, Generate Software Description, and inside here, all server functions are an index.ts file. By scrolling through this, we can see exactly the prompt that it's sending to the AI agent. Because we need a secure place to store our Google Gemini API key, it's also prompting us to add this within secrets. It's alerting us that it's missing this secret, and we can open the secrets in settings and we can add it here. Create secret, and the secret has been added here. Now that that's done, the function should work. Subscriptions, add subscription. Let's add a new one for Photoshop, and now it's generating the description. With a multi-step request like this, and often with server functions, it may not quite get it right on the first time. This is because it needs to call the API in a very specific manner. So let's prompt it again to fix this. After adding a subscription, I see a loading spinner and the text saying generating description in the subscription card. However, it never completes the server function. The agent's finished working. Now let's test it out again. Add subscription. Generating description, and there we go. Adobe Photoshop is a powerful raster graphics, blah, blah, blah. Now this text was generated in a specific way because of how the server function specified it. If we want to change the output, we could back and forth with the agent, or we could directly edit it in the code, which I'll show you how. We'll go into Supabase, open the relevant function, generate software description, and scroll down to the prompt. You are a helpful assistant that explains software products. Given a software name, provide a brief 2 or 3 sentence explanation. Let's change this to 1 sentence explanation, and we'll save that. Now, as soon as we press save here in the code, it redeploys it as a new server function. We don't need to republish the site. So if we come in and we preview it again, now this time it's performed the server function again. However, it listened to our new saved commands and only created 1 sentence. By understanding server functions, like how they work and what they empower, is practically a superpower here in Bolt. We touched on secrets before, but let's overview this again. This is a secure place where you can store all of your API keys. We don't want anyone to have access to our Google Gemini API key, otherwise they can use it to perform their own actions and we will incur those costs. By keeping those values here in secrets, it means they can't access them. File storage is where your users upload their data that doesn't fit inside the database tables. For example, a display avatar. If you prompt the agent to set that up, it will create a bucket here in the file storage called user avatars. Knowledge, as we touched on before, is a persistent piece of information that the agent always has context about. It will consider this for every prompt that you send to the agent. In your settings, you'll also see backups, and this is the same as the version history. Every time the agent makes a change to your project, it's saved here. Finally, let's go through your personal settings. Here you can change the theme between light and dark mode. We can display the token usage in the chat, toggle the sound notification when a prompt is complete, and modify how code is displayed. In applications is where you'll see all of your connected integrations. And experimental features are, as the name suggests, new features we're testing out at Bolt. Well done sticking with us this far. By now, you should have a really comprehensive understanding of all the personal and project settings here in Bolt.